Let's now go to this issue of Australia and what's happening in the Red Sea. And I'm joined by Michael Shoebridge, who's the Director of Strategic Analysis Australia. First up, Michael, what do you believe is the real reason that Anthony Albanese has decided not to send a ship?
Well, Chris, I think the real reason is the weakness and small size of our current naval fleet. We've got 3 air warfare destroyers, pretty good ships. One of them is just out of refit. We've got 8 ageing Anzac frigates, and we don't seem to have enough crews for all of them. But none of our ships is properly equipped with cost-effective counter-drone systems, so they're too vulnerable to the Houthis. And you've got to think to yourself, if our Navy is vulnerable to the Houthis, how the hell are they meant to protect us in a potential war with China?
Yeah, this is extraordinary. Quite a few analysts and experts have been suggesting this. The government obviously doesn't want to admit it. But you're saying the issue here is capability, that rather than being so weak on foreign affairs, the Prime Minister's forced into this position because we have a Navy that's just so poorly prepared.
Well, that's part of it, but I also think the government foreign policy is to be a deliberate small target, to pretend that just by focusing on our local area, Southeast Asia and the South Pacific, somehow the rest of the world and its problems won't crowd in on us. But why are petrol prices going to go up at Christmas? Why are food and energy prices already high? Because of the war in Ukraine, and now because of the threat to Red Sea oil transport.
Yeah, this is the point. This issue, this operation has a direct impact on Australia, as you say, through oil prices, also through some of the trade coming through the Suez Canal and the Red Sea coming to Australia. So apart from our international obligations, we have a direct interest in all of this. And what I find odd is that for more than a decade, started under Labor governments, under the Hawke-Keating Labor governments, and then went on under the Howard Coalition government, we contributed a ship on rotation through the Persian Gulf, a very similar operation enforcing embargoes against Iraq. So we have form in doing this on both sides of the aisle.
Well, exactly. Back then, and it's not that long ago, we could walk and chew gum with our Navy. The way the Prime Minister and Richard Marles are talking, one ship means we can't do anything in our region. Well, if that's true, how have we got to this point? Where's the plan to fix it? Of course, a big difference from then to now is the rise of drone warfare. And the government and defence have been incredibly slow to recognise this new threat and to equip our Navy accordingly.
Yeah, look, it's a worry. I'm deeply worried about how weak. You and I talked a fair bit early this year about how surprisingly strong Penny Wong and Anthony Albanese were. They were standing up to China. They were saying and doing the right things when it came to AUKUS and the alliance. But now when it comes to matters foreign policy and national security, we've seen the absolute chaos of those non-citizen criminals released from detention. That was just they've been trying to catch up on that ever since. We saw Anthony Albanese try and suppress the issue of the sonar attack against our sailors in an effort not to create a confrontation with Xi Jinping. And now we see the weakness on Israel, voting in favour of that UN resolution that didn't even mention what had been perpetrated against Israel, didn't even mention Hamas by name. And this decision as well. I mean, there's an overwhelming sense of weakness about what we've seen unfold in foreign policy terms and security terms in the last 2 months, Michael.
Yes, Chris, and fine words and self-congratulation from the government can't hide this weakness in how they act and what they do. And you've got to think Washington will be looking at us being unable to send a single warship to help keep that international sea lane open as a real eye-opening moment about the weakness of Australia's military. And they'll be thinking to themselves, how on earth can they pursue nuclear submarines when they have such limitations in their conventional military right now?
Yeah, such a worry, the message this sends to Washington. Michael, thanks for your analysis tonight, and thanks for your insights and analysis all year. I appreciate it. Have a good Christmas and New Year.